Hello, 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 y'all. Welcome.
Hello there.
Hello. Hey, Shamarie. Hey, 404. Welcome. I just learned that the audio captioning system that I'm using will sunset on October 31st. So I will need to find a different system for doing this. Good morning. It's 10 a.m. for me, so we're up bright and early. Gonna give people another couple minutes to trickle on in here. 10 a.m. here as well. Oh my goodness. I forgot. I'm so used to everyone being on, like, across the Atlantic Ocean time zones. Vermont, okay. Yeah, I'm in Michigan, so. We're going to be continuing what we were doing with our Godot game. Snow soon, fingers crossed. I mean, hopefully, I don't know. I no longer expect snow anymore after the past couple of winters. Maybe Vermont has more wintry weather, but Michigan just usually gets gray and then wet. Yeah, global warming, all that jazz. Haven't really... I'm noticing that my camera cannot autofocus for the life of itself. Hey, 404, welcome to audio. Okay, that's better. We haven't had really good snow in about 15 years. That checks out. Yeah. Yes, all of the, because I've now restarted OBS, all of the emotes are back. All of that should be working, which is exciting. Oh, also, hey, okay, I'm glad that I'm in focus now and crystal clear. Hey, Gubrick. I changed on these screens. Oh, wait. There we go. So the text is black again now, so you can see it against these. And then white here, so you can see it against the dark door. So it should be slightly more legible there. We're going to start at, like, let's say 10:05. We'll give people 2 more minutes. But I think this is probably the group that we have this morning. Just a nice small group to be finishing up our Godot game. Well, finishing up our Godot game. This is the last stream that we have on Godot. But I doubt that we'll finish it. Anyone go to any other cool streams this week? $404. Oh my goodness. I actually did not manage to complete that essay and was in big trouble, but then I begged my way through another day so I can still submit it. Still don't regret attending the stream. I mean, I'm glad you're here. I always appreciate seeing you. And also, I'm glad that you can submit it still. I'm glad that your instructor was chill with giving you an extension. Waiting for Godot. I mean, yeah, it's going to be exciting today.
I did submit it, so it's all good
Hey, okay. That's good. Oh yeah, if you had a 1-day extension, it would have been yesterday. Okay. I think, yeah, okay, great. Everything should be all set for us to get started again. Oh. Let me see. Can't wait to complete the Stickman shooter game we're making. I mean, ha 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 ha. Very funny. And my courses start back up this evening. Fall break is almost over. Ooh. Best of luck. I believe in you. My friends are mostly at the University of Michigan, and fall break was the beginning of this week, so they needed to go back on Wednesday. Okay, let us get started here. Let me move my windows around and share my screen. So we have our tutorial here, and we left off, we watched about building a level with the tile map, but we did not actually implement it. Where we are right now in Godot, we have our start screen and we have our level, and when we click escape, we go back to our start screen. So we just have our two different screens, and we've talked about adding scripts, we've talked about adding signals, that's what they are called. We've talked about button mapping, all of the essentials, and now we get into the fun part. How long is the break usually? It's like 2 days. You have the weekend, and then you have Monday and Tuesday off. FCC have also just released an intro to game dev with Godot. I don't know what FCC is. If you can unacronym that for me, that would be really cool, because I always like sharing tools around Godot. Free Code Camp. Oh! Ooh, I'm Googling this right now. Free Code Camp. Godot. Oh, well, that's incredibly cool. Yeah, Godot game development for Unity developers. In the wake of the most recent controversy, blah, blah, blah. That is extremely cool. Fall break is 2 days. Yes. It's not very much of a break, and most instructors still assign work throughout it. It's more, yeah, I don't know why it exists. It's not a standard thing either. I was taking some classes at a community college at one point, and that was not a thing. You would have breaks later in the semester for the holidays coming up, but that was it. Free Code Camp, yeah, Free Code Camp is great. Okay. So that's what we have. We're going to go, and I'm going to download the assets here. Just so we have them. We have our fall break from Monday for 1 week, return the 30th. That sounds really nice. Okay, tile map. Great. We'll deal with that later. Okay, let's go back to our tutorial. Let me turn down the music. Great. Tutorial time.
Okay, now it's time to actually make level 1. We don't have any image assets, we don't really have much going for us right now. So let's go ahead and find some assets. I'm gonna go to my web browser, and I'm at kenny.nl. Kenny is a creator of public domain game assets, and they make games and tools too. So click into assets, and you'll find all sorts of things, from platformers to 3D models. What we're gonna do is search for 1-bit. And there is a 1-bit platformer pack. We're gonna go ahead and use this to make our game. Because it's public domain, using the Creative Commons 0 license, we can use it in our game. We could even charge commercially for our game. You don't even have to give assets. You don't even have to give credit to Kenny, but I think it's really important to give credit, even if something's in the public domain. So we'll make sure we properly give Kenny credit too. So let's download. Donate if you can. Download the file and then open it and unzip it. You'll see in here a bunch of files. In particular, you'll see the sample, which is kind of like a 2D platformer level. We'll make something along those lines. You'll see a preview of the images, and you'll see some folders. Tiles, which are individual tiles that make up what's known as a tile map. A tile map is a collection of sprites in one image, so it's more efficient for the operating system and computers to take it, load it into memory, and then slice out segments of it. And so imagine, all these little rectangles in here. We'll just cut them out and display them and duplicate them in our game, and we'll make our character move. And just like old flipbook animations, we'll change the animation based upon what's happening. So in the tile map folder, you'll see 4 different options. The one we want, you see packed. Packed means there's no spacing between each of these. But you'll see the one that's not packed, there's this 1 pixel between each tile. We want the one that has 1 pixel between each tile. But we want, let's use the one with the, let's use transparent actually. I think that will treat us better. So you want the one that's not packed, that has the gap between them, and click that, drag it, go to Godot, make sure you're not expanded, and drag it into the res area, your file system. So Godot just imported it, and we can see it here. We could take this and just drag it into our level 1 and have this texture here. And you'll see in our scene, we've got a texture 2D with this here. And if we run our game, I should have just clicked run scene, you'll see this image is displayed. And yeah, we can make it bigger and warp it and do all kinds of things to it, but that's not particularly interesting, aside from we know that it's in our game. So let's go and delete this. Okay. Now what we want to do is set up our level, and we'll do that by adding a new node for our tile map. So go in here, click add node. We'll just type in tile map to easily find it. Click create. Now this brings up a whole brand new interface, which is why we didn't start here, because this is where things start to get a little bit more complicated. Over here, you'll see tile map, you'll see tile set, and then this opened up down here, which is our tile map editor. So we want to create a new tile set from that image we created. So click this drop down and click new tile set. Then click this area, and you'll see here that we've got properties for our tile set. Then what we can do is in here, we're going to go and add our image to the tile set. So you need to click the tile set down here. It says no tile set source created. Click the plus button. We're going to do an atlas. An atlas will represent the texture that we'll use for our game. So click into here and click quick load, and that shows the options. We have icon SVG, which comes with the game out of the box, and we have monochrome tile map transparent. Click open. The atlas's texture is modified. Would you like to automatically create tiles in the atlas? Click yes. And then Godot tries to automatically map them. Let's click this button to make it bigger, and you can see that things are a bit off. These orange lines don't line up with our map because we have gaps. So we're going to name this, we're just going to call this tile map, kind of a generic name, and then separation. We're going to make it 1 and 1. And now you'll see that everything is lined just nice. And it's a 16 pixel by 16 pixel grid. If we change this, you'll see it'll throw it off. So depending if you were using a different tile set, you would see how large is each tile set and set it accordingly. There's also an option for texture padding, which tries to help it, but since we have the spacing, we'll just leave it checked on, but that's an option that's there that you might want to mess with if you use a different tile set. A different tile map image. Okay, you might notice some of these are hidden. If you just click them when we're in the tile set editor, it'll re-enable them. For some reason, Godot detected them as, I guess, being disabled. So click those and just drag over it. Ideally, that shouldn't have happened. It does it for empty ones, but it appeared to do it for some that have sprites in it. So if you saw those faded out, just drag over them in the tile set editor, and that should make it better. So now we see here, they're all available, and you can just click the arrow button and select a tile. Like, let's select this one, and then draw a pencil, and we can just drag it. Let me zoom in a bit, and we're just drawing it, and that looks pretty good. Now you may have noticed that's a little blurry. So let's try to fix that and make it not blurry. So what's happening is that our tile map texture is like, it's scaling, but we don't want it to scale because it's pixel art. So what we want to do is in the texture, in the filter, it's using inherent, which we don't want. We want it to be nearest. So that says instead of trying to do some fancy scaling, just do nearest. And we're setting that texture for a tile map. So that changes it just for this imported texture, but let's change it for every texture we import in the future because we might, add more images in the future. So In the general project settings, if you type in texture and click this default texture filter, see how it's linear? We want it to be nearest because we're making a pixel art game. So click close, and now if we were to go and if we make this inherit, it's already setting it properly. And something else we can do is in the import, we can even go ahead and just re-import that just to make sure that it's proper. But everything seems to be good. Now if we run our scene, we'll see our level is being drawn. Kind of neat, right? Okay, so we've got our tile map. Let's click that again. You have to...
I'm just going to jump in here. Godot Docs get a 10 out of 10. I entirely agree. Very user-friendly, very well set up. Let's implement this now. I'm just going to check how he... Hey, Skitty, welcome. I'm just looking for... When he changed the scaling for the entire project. I missed where that was. I know how to change scaling for individual things. In general, rendering textures. Okay, great. So we have our game. Time to make some ragdolls to crash my PC. I mean, ragdolls are truly a treasure. Okay, we're going to add a child node, and that node is going to be a tile map. And we are going to import. I am not going to import. I'm going to import the packed version because I don't get why he imported the one with the lines in it just to then like have issues with the lines. So I'm importing the okay. So Godot has changed since this. So in our inspector, we have our tile set, new tile set. Great, okay. And now we are going to add an atlas. And the texture is going to be... We're going to load our tile map, and we automatically create it. And hey, oh look, it automatically created it perfectly because we didn't add random gaps between things, and it didn't disable any of them except for the ones that were actually empty. So it worked perfectly. I don't know why he used the other one. But now we have our tile map. And if I shrink this back down and we go tile map, and let's... Which one of these would we want to use? Well, let's use these bricks. If I click on this and I go into here, I can draw with the left click. And then I can delete with right click. So I can quickly lay out, and I'm moving around in this with center click and drag. Wait, no, that's... Wait, that corner... No. Does he have a corner piece here? There we go. Okay. Okay. Now we have a level laid out very quickly and easily, just by clicking and dragging. Now, this doesn't have any collisions or anything like that. This is just the graphical aspect, the pretty pictures, but it is a very fast way of laying it out. And we can automatically add, and we'll probably add this, colliders to this based on these squares. So now, in our tile map, texture, nearest. Great. Oh, but we didn't need to do that because we go into project settings, general, and we search for texture. Default texture filter, nearest. Great. So there, now we have our wonderful pixel art backgrounds, and we can use any of these just that easily, and we'll assign different colliders to different places on this tile map. So if we were to add this like sign that is an arrow with a direction, it might not have collisions. But if we were to add this hanging platform, we might have specific colliders on it that are for such that your character can jump through this direction but not fall through this direction. Now I'm just messing around a little bit to show y'all why I think that these are so fun and so cool. Because generally, yeah, it makes it very easy for you to have this layout of this art, and there are tons of these on the internet, and then just have fun with making a level. And I find that just like really, I don't know, it makes me happy to have a system where I can just mess around with something rather than needing to be super overwhelmed about all of the creation aspect. So if I'm now making levels for my game, adding spikes is as simple as like, ooh, what if I were to do that? And everything else I can handle programmatically so that when I'm creating multiple levels, I can just mess around with it and click and drag and draw. So, fun thing. I'm now going to remove some of the things that we aren't going to be using and just leave this, and we'll go back to our tutorial.
Here. Kind of neat, right? Okay, so we've got our tile map. Let's click that again. You have to focus that node to draw on it. And let's just draw a couple more things. So we'll draw an edge here. We'll draw this edge here. We'll zoom out a bit. Draw this a bit. Yeah, we'll draw some walls. Okay. Nothing too exciting yet, but we've got some things drawing to the screen. And we'll start expanding level 1, and we'll add some collision so that when we add a player, that they hit this and they don't fall forever. And then we'll expand what's possible, and then we'll add a level 2. Let's go ahead and add a player that we can control so that we can add them to the world and interact. We'll start off by...
Really quickly, I just want to say to everyone that for those of you who weren't here for part 1, the reason... One second, I'm going to fix the focus on my camera because this is driving me insane that I am just constantly out of focus. I thought that switching to autofocus would make it more reliable, but no. Apparently when I just manually focused it for last session, I wonder why it's struggling so much. Anyway. Great. Yeah, I couldn't attend last session. Totally fine. We're going to focus. Hey, oh, look, there we go. Now I look crispy. Okay. So for those of you who couldn't attend last session, in essence what we're doing is we are building a game using Godot, which is an open source game engine, because some of the closed source alternatives, Unity is the big example, have been doing some pretty unethical or dodgy changes to their terms of service without letting the developers who have already used their platform to make games know about it. So it makes sense for you to want to use an open source platform that you have complete control over. Also, it fits into the theme of Open Source Week. So we're doing that, and we are following a tutorial that I'm going to link in chat for y'all. And we are following this tutorial because I want y'all to be able to like follow along, rewind, finish after the session, and having the lecture part of the stream be a tutorial that's already out there allows you to do that. And it allows you to continue where the stream leaves off. But also, while we're live, you can ask questions. So while we are here, if you have any questions at any point, or are confused about something, or if you are trying to follow along, if you can't follow along with something, feel free to ask and I will always stop and we can talk about it. That's really my like philosophy around doing these streams the way that I do. Yeah, so feel free to pause and ask questions. The purpose of the tutorial is so you can follow along, but I'm here to help. Hey, 404 has collision or stickmen working that hopefully ragdoll based on what they've been talking about. Feel free to drop a GIF in Discord and I can pull that up on stream. Is it a webcam or a separate camera? So I am using a separate camera to do this. If I were to switch to my webcam, which I think is up, do I have... If I were to switch to my webcam, it doesn't look awful. Like, it's serviceable for a webcam, but I think in comparison, this looks much better. So I use the camera. Stickman Ragdoll flopping over. Hey, I'm happy for you, 404. And the webcam is good. My webcam makes me look like I'm from a Nintendo DS. That is, oh, that's an interesting flashback to the DSi cameras. And the difference is night and day. Yeah, I can see that. Hey, okay, I'm glad. I had one person at one point tell me that the webcam looked better. And I was like, am I putting all this work in for nothing? Like, oh, so I'm glad that y'all like it. I really like it. I think it's much better. And it allows me to do fun things like this, which you can't necessarily do on a webcam. Okay, with that little side quest over, let's switch back to our screen share. And now we are going to be learning about how we can add a character to our game.
Adding a new node to our level 1 scene, and we'll call it Character Body 2D. Click Create. This is a node that has physics and gravity affects it. It's what will be used for our player, and if you had multiple players, it could be used for that, or yeah, that's what it's for. You'll see here there's a triangle warning sign. It says it has no shape, so it can't collide or interact with other objects. Please consider adding a collision shape. We'll do that in a second. Right-click on it, add a child node. We're going to call it Animated Sprite 2D, because we're going to make it so that our character can animate, and click Create. You'll see a warning here. A sprite frames resource must be specified. So over here in animation, click sprite frames and new sprite frames. Click that, and now you'll see down here, it opens up a sprite frames editor.
So really quickly, I'm going to be a huge nerd 404. I don't have a Tarantino zoom because you'll notice when I zoom, the background zooms in with me. Everything is zooming. In a Tarantino zoom, the camera is moving away while the lens is zooming in. So the character's face on screen stays in one spot, but the background stays this, like the character's face is getting bigger, but the background stays the same. It's a very specific effect. If you finish the game, make sure to publish it so that we can play it as well. So down in the description of this video is, when it loads, oh, you're talking to 404. I missed that was a reply. But yeah, for the game that we are making together on stream, you can play it based on the link in the description. Okay. I believe... I don't believe it's... Okay, it is a crash zoom. I thought it was a crash zoom. Let's see if we can find a GIF. try whip zoom. Oh my goodness, I can never type. Okay, this is the iconic. Yeah, so you'll notice his face is getting bigger, but the background is like fading away. Or no, sorry, his face is staying the same size. A dolly zoom? Oh, and it's Hitchcock. Okay. Then I do not know what a Tarantino zoom is. Oh, okay, yes, I do. Which I do have. Okay. Thank you, 404. I appreciate learning more about film terminology. Okay. But that was a slight tangent. Let's go back to adding an animated character to our game.
For editing our sprites. What we want to do is click Add Animation. We'll just call it Idle. We'll delete default. I guess we could have just used default. And now what we want to do is add a frame. We're going to click Add Frames from Sprite Sheet because we have our monochrome tile map transparent file from earlier with our sprite sheet. And Godot automatically tries to detect and find things. So we're going to actually change that. We're going to say the size is 16 by 16 pixels. We're going to say the separation is 1 pixel by 1 pixel, just like we did when we set up the tile map. Now you'll see everything is quite nice. Then what we can do is we can click and drag the tiles that we want, the frames we want, to add to this animation from the tile sheet. I'm actually going to unselect them because I was just kind of dragging around all the character ones. But let's zoom in a bit so I can show you some more. So you'll see here our character sprite sheet. And it's blurry because we have to re-import it. Let's fix that really quick. Sorry. Go into here. Let's click re-import. Let's see if that's a little bit nicer. Yeah, there we go. Because remember we changed the project setting? That was an important step in doing that. So by going there to import and clicking re-import, we can now see these quite a bit nicer. And look, Godot even remembered the sizing and the separation. So see this little buddy here with the horns? This buddy is going to be our character. And we'll just set idle to this first frame. And then these will be running. And then these will be jump. I think these will be run, these will be jump. This will be like success, that'll be good. So we'll just click add one frame. It's a little blurry there, but don't worry about it. Now we've got our first animation, and we'll add more animations soon enough. Let's go ahead and zoom in a bit here. So there's our player. Let's add, right-click, add child node, and we're going to do collision shape 2D. This is what Godot's physics engine will use to determine whether or not the object is hitting a floor or another object and react accordingly. You'll see when we added it, a shape must be specified. You'll see here in the inspector, there's a shape option. So you can click down here and see a bunch of options. Generally for a player, you do a rectangle or a capsule. A capsule is nice because it's got these rounded edges and just makes kind of hitting edges and sliding a little bit smoother. Then you grab these little control knobs over here and adjust it accordingly. Shift it down. But you know what? This sprite is kind of shifted down. So I'm going to click that node for the sprite, shift it up, and then click back on our collision node and go ahead and adjust that. We can make it a little bit smaller. That'll add a little polish. Like, you don't want it to be the whole thing. You want it to be just, you know, squeezed in a little. It's a little more friendly for your player, and will feel nice when they're up against walls. So we've got a player here, and if we click this, let's just run our scene first. You'll see our player is just over here, up in the upper left. We can't really see them. So let's go ahead.
I'm going to pause here and I'm going to start importing this. And again, sorry 404, I totally thought I knew what I was talking about, but you actually did, and I was talking about an entirely separate thing. So thank you for teaching us about different types of zooms. Okay, so in Godot, the player character is adorable. I mean, yes, that was one of the reasons why I really like this tutorial, is because the art that he was using for it is just truly wonderful. Okay, so in our level 1 scene, we're going to add a child node, and that is going to be character body 2D. And then to that character body, we're going to add an animated sprite 2D. And we are going to add a collision shape 2D. Great. So now we're in our animated sprite. Oh wait, let's re-import our tile map. Oh, it's not re-import here. It is re-import here. There was probably an easier way of doing this. Oh, right, I have done something wrong. Okay, here we go. New tile set. And then in our tile set. Okay, yes, I did that totally wrong. We should have done it in here. Okay, I'll need to redo a little bit of work.
There is probably an easier way of doing this. Me when taking the longest possible route not thought possible.
Yeah, that is exactly what I have done. Okay. So what we could have done is I could have just looked back at the tutorial. Hey, okay, we're back. Let's see how he did that, because he did that very quickly.
Over here in animation, detect and find by 1 pixel. Dragging around all the characters a bit nicer.
Okay. So he was here. Oh, he went into import and then clicked on the thing and then clicked re-import. Okay. I did not even notice that there was that import tab there. Okay. Hey, there's the re-import button. Okay. Well, in our animated sprite 2D, animation, sprite frames, new sprite frames, and then thank you, Skadi. And I want to say for everyone, 404 at one point you sent Metal Pipe and you were like, oh, I knew that you were expecting it. The key is to do it when I'm working on something else, because when I'm not looking...
Good job.
Yeah, pat yourselves on the back. When I'm not looking at Twitch chat, I miss that it's happening because I'm so focused. Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, those are channel point rewards. So when you watch the stream for long enough, you get channel points, and then you can redeem them for various sound effects and different things. Theoretically, let me double check to see. Thank you. Yeah, Rickroll is available. If someone has 25,000 channel points, the whole stream will stop just to display a Rickroll on screen for, I believe, the entire duration of the song. So yeah, there are plenty of things you can do with channel points. Sadly, you can only do them on my stream, and also you won't be able to use them tomorrow on my stream because we're going to be streaming to MLH Red because a hackathon has the main Twitch channel. So I will need to be streaming like everyone else. So all of the fanciness, including text-to-speech and sound effects and emotes, will all go away temporarily. But they will be back next time that I stream next Global Hack Week. Can I do a Rickroll? I don't want to disrupt, but I've been saving up. Heck yeah, you can do a Rickroll. Is everyone ready for Shemmarie's amazing Rickroll? If it doesn't work, I'm here to...
Good job.
We're no strangers to love. You know the rules, and so do I. I've built commitments while I'm thinking of
Does TTS work?
TTS does work. Welcome back, y'all. Oh, that was fun. And our viewer count has jumped up. More people have joined, which is both hilarious and very awkward. Hello, hello. Something's lacking out with that.
Good job.
Welcome back. Thank you. Also, for those of you who didn't, like, I really appreciate Shem being so kind here and being like, oh, I didn't want to interrupt your stream, but I would love to do this. But also, I have, like, deliberately set it up so that it goes over everything on the stream so that if anyone activates it, it just covers everything. No matter what I'm doing, it just becomes, oh my goodness, brain.
Shemery, yeah, got a disrupted. Come on.
Never gonna give you up. My God, it took me so long to remember the name of that. Ugh, my brain sometimes. And thanks for the clip of
Buffering.
the metal pipe. Truly. Let's watch this clip together to celebrate some of the moments that we have just had with channel point rewards. I'm so glad that y'all like them. I spent a lot of time trying to set these up, and this is what makes it all worth it. Okay, let's take a look at this. New sprite frames. And then I jumped. I legitimately jumped. Very fun. Yeah, but I really don't want to interrupt a stream at an inappropriate time. Respect to him 100%. I really appreciate that. That is extremely sweet. And also, we just got to have an incredible Rickroll. Gonna turn the lo-fi back on for us. Where were we? Oh, yeah. Okay. So we had... We are setting up our animated sprite. Okay, add frames. Here. Oh, golly. Why are... Okay. Horizontal. No, size 16 pixels by 16 pixels. Great, okay. And we want you to be our idle or our default. And then once we have that, we can now see, hi, there's our little guy. And we want to bring it up so that the character themselves are centered, because there's a lot of space above them in the sprite sheet. And then for our collision shape, we're going to add a new capsule shape. And we are going to put that in our character. Now, I'm going to open up that Twitch clip for later. This is an older one. What were we doing? Oh, this was Snake in Unity. Okay. We'll watch that by the end of the stream. We'll definitely be watching that clip. Thank you for sending that in, 404. Okay. That one is epic. I don't remember what that one is, so it'll be fun to watch that. In the tutorial, he moved up our collider to here, but to my knowledge, that would make our character's legs inside of the ground. So I'm going to do 1 pixel higher, like that. And that should be what we're looking for. But now... theoretically, our character has collisions, and we can set more than one animation in Animated Sprite 2D. Let us go back to the tutorial then. And then in like 10 minutes, we're going to take, or like at 11 a.m. Eastern time, so that's in 12 minutes, we're going to take a bio break. But in 10 minutes, we're going to watch that clip of when we broke dimmer. Okay. With that, let us go back to where we were, which was he had just set up the capsule. Okay.
Grab these little control knobs over here and adjust it accordingly. Shift it down. But you know what? This sprite is kind of shifted down. So I'm going to click that node for the sprite, shift it up, and then click back on our collision node and go ahead and adjust that. We can make it a little bit smaller. That'll add a little polish. Like, you don't want it to be the whole thing. You want it to be just, you know, squeezed in a little. It's a little more friendly for your player, and will feel nice when they're up against walls. So we've got a player here, and if we click this, let's just run our scene first. You'll see our player is just over here, up in the upper left. We can't really see them. So let's go ahead and click this, and when I click and drag, it just grabs what's under it. But if you click the node and hold the Alt key and drag, it'll actually drag the node and its children together, and that really helps. So, oops, I started the wrong run. So we see our platformer over here, our little character. That's really tiny. And our game isn't set to scale. We'll set that properly. But our little buddy, let's make them fall with gravity. So if you attach script to character body 2D, it has a template that it's going to add automatically. Well, first, before I get ahead of myself, let's rename that node to player. That will make our script be more friendly named. I'm going to name it lowercase p player. I always name my script lowercase and snake case. But I don't think that really matters. I just do it for consistency. And click create.
There's a template for basic movement and gravity. When I created my first game, I did not know that, and I spent a good few hours implementing all of this and doing it quite poorly. Oh, hey 404, congrats on having your stickmen run and fall. And this reminds me of like Space Invaders. I mean, yeah, with the art style of like hyper pixelation, that makes sense. Okay. I just wanted to point out how nice it is that this template exists because I did not know it existed. And I was doing a hackathon, and I spent a lot of time that I could have spent doing other things. Okay.
Now in the script editor, you'll see that Godot has a template for quite a few things already. It sets the speed to a constant value. It sets a jump velocity to a constant value. It gets the gravity from project settings. Let me just show you that. It's in physics 2D default. So you could increase gravity here, but I think 2D works pretty well. You can adjust it as needed. And then there's already some code here that handles quite a few things. So it says if we're not on the floor, add gravity to our Y velocity. So that makes them fall, our character fall. Handle jump. If UI accept is pressed and not on floor, then we set the velocity Y to jump velocity, which is negative, which makes the player go up. And then here we're constantly adding a positive value that makes them fall. And then Godot handles some left and right movement. So this is actually good enough to start with, and we'll refine it and make it better. But let's go ahead and see what happens. Did you see that? Our little buddy fell. Is just falling through the world and falling down. Because we've got our script attached now, but there's nothing for them to fall and stop them from just continually falling. So let's go back to the 2D view. We've still got our character selected. I'm holding Alt, pressing and moving it. And let's move them above the tile map that we just drew. Because we want them to stop falling when they hit the ground.
Okay, I was like, this shouldn't do anything. We haven't added collisions to the tile map. I was really confused. Okay.
And did you notice that? They just kept falling. And that's because our tile map in our world doesn't have collision set up. So let's go ahead. We'll leave player right there where they are. Click in the tile map again. And in the tile set, you click it to expand it. And you'll see there's a thing called physics layers. By default, there's none. We're going to add a collision. We're going to add a physics layer. And it has two things, a collision layer and a mask. Collision layer is, there's numbered values. You can change them to strings to make them easier to remember. But collision layer is what layer it's on. And you might want different layers because maybe, let me explain that a little differently. Like let's say you have a player and they fire bullets. And player bullets can only hit enemies.
I'm just going to pause here because I don't think he's going to do a very good job of describing this. In essence, collisions and like, collisions are not inherently physics oriented. A collision does not mean that something is going to hit something and stop. Collisions are just our way of seeing if any two things are touching. So if we have an enemy and we want it to, when it touches our character to die, that is a collision. If we have the floor where we want our character to be able to touch it and stop, that is a collision. Anytime we want to see if two things are touching, that is collisions. So the reason we have different collision layers is that we can have different behavior with different things. So we can have our character exist on collisions layers 1 and 2. And 1 is to say that, hey, they collide with the floor. So when they touch the floor, let something happen. And collision layer 2 might be, oh, we want our player to be able to touch enemies. So when they touch an enemy, something happens. But if we don't want enemies to be killing each other, we don't put them on collision layer 2 because we don't want to see if they're touching each other. Because if we were to check for that, then they might kill each other. Collisions is like detecting if one thing is touching another thing. Exactly 404. I think he's going to do a fairly roundabout explanation, but really it's just if two things are touching.
If they, overlap with something else, they don't do anything, well, then you would put the bullets on layer 2, for example, and you would have them look toward maybe layer 3 with the collision mask so that it only targets certain objects on that layer when colliding. It's kind of a weird concept. We'll get into it a little more. But for now, the default 1 and 1 is totally fine. And actually, I'll explain it more with an example after we set it up. But for now, just leave it 1 and 1 selected, and that's fine. Now, in our tile set here, we need to edit it to define the collision properly. So click in. We selected the tiles that we're drawing with are these right here. So you can click them. Sorry, select them. And so I dragged and selected them.
Where
down here.
banana?
And I'm actually going to drag and select this whole square because we're using the
Banana is currently not here. She's probably curled up asleep somewhere, being very adorable, as always. For those of you who don't know, Banana is my roommate's cat, and she is adorable. And she is, when my roommates are back in town now, but when they were out of town, she was always around. So when I was streaming earlier this week, she was a frequent visitor on stream.
walls too. I'm going to click here into physics layer 0, and you've got these options here. You can add collision based upon the tile shape, or you can draw your own, like whether it's angle or just part of it. And we're going to click
banana.
set to default shape. So now, if I click this tile, there's no physics shape defined. If I click here, which was part of that selection,
Hi, Lazy Gamer.
you see how these are red? That means they have collision associated with them. So let's go ahead and run our scene again after saving. And now you'll see our player just fell and they stop. And that means they're colliding. And we can actually use left and right to make them move. We can use the space bar to jump. So look at that. Just right out of the box, Godot, we've got a tile map with a player, and our player can move. Now let's take a quick moment to illustrate collision layer and collision mask.
So I'm going to pause here and we're going to implement this because we have like another 5 minutes of that. Godot games are so freaking memory efficient. I don't understand how they do it. I mean, again, Godot is pretty cool. So I'm going to alt and drag, and our character is going to start here, and we'll deal with scaling later because like 404 said, that is one tiny ant. Yeah, our character looks very small. But then in our tile map, we are going to... I could have sworn. Plus the engine is really lightweight too. It's like magic. Yeah. Godot is great. Are we using those? Actually, we're just gonna select those and those. And now select. There we go. Okay. So you've selected them. And there's no physics. Okay, we do need to enable physics over here. Exactly, I learned Unity 3 years back and later pivoted to browser games with P5 and JavaScript, but now getting back into game development with Godot. Hey, that sounds extremely good. Because, yeah, I know that P5 is, like, good. People talk about it, but it seems like something that you need to do a lot more stuff with yourself. What am I missing here? I could have sworn... Tile map. Tile shape. Ah, collision visibility. Wait. Godot has, again, by the looks of it, changed since our tutorial. Because there's physics layers there, and I'm missing why we don't have that. I usually think I'm pretty good at remembering everything that we talk about.
And now you'll see our player.
Godot seems to be at least easier to use than Unity. I agree that it is, at least at a like starting level. 404 mentioned yesterday that they missed the Unity asset store. There's some things, I think it's under project settings. No, it shouldn't be.
Setup.
Not
So
for our
let's go
tile
ahead.
map.
We'll
It might be.
leave
I
player
might be
right there where they
missing
are.
something.
Click in the tile map again. And in the tile set, you click it to expand it.
Ah, that was what I didn't do. There we go. Physics layers, add element. There we go. Okay. Now here. In our tile set, physics layer 0. There we go. And then we are going to oh my goodness, I've done goofed it. Okay. Collision layers. Opening up the tile map. Selecting the things. Going into physics. Reset to default tile shape. Hey, there we go. Okay. So now, if we play the scene. Oh, we didn't actually enable physics on our character. We needed to do that first. Okay, so if we now go into our character and add a script. We'll see that those are the whatchamaweezits, that template that we talked about. So now we should have gravity when we run the scene. Hey, and we can move and jump, and our character is working. Now it is extremely floaty. And there's a thing. No, I can't really zoom in. We'll see if the tutorial talks about coyote time, because that is a thing that is, oh, and we've fallen off the edge of the world. Okay. Well, we have collisions and movements. Coyote time, in essence, is where after our character goes off the edge, we want to give the player an amount of time where they can still jump, even though they are no longer touching the ground. And that is coyote time in reference to old animations where the character would be running and running and running, and then they would like run past the edge of the cliff, and then they would just like hang there for a second and then fall. So we want to give that extra time for the player to be able to jump, because it makes it feel nicer for them to be able to to jump off of ledges while they're running. That being said, oh my goodness, okay, it's much later than when I said we would. 1, we're going to take a bio break, and 2, first, before we do that, we're going to take a look at the 2 things that 404 has sent. So we have When We Broke Dimmer, which is a Twitch clip. Oh goodness. I have broken my OBS. There we go. Oh, God, that. There we go. Okay, now that's back to where it was. Before I broke everything, let's take a look at the Twitch clip, which is When We Broke Dimmer. Give me a sec to change the audio from what we were doing.
We have more tangents in this stream than the boss graph in my calculus homework.
But I totally forgot about this. This is an iconic moment. You timed that so perfectly.
We can't see
Oh my
it.
goodness, I literally started to go but Oh my goodness, did I seriously? Oh, of course. Okay. Yeah, I deserved a bonk for that one. Thanks for TTSing that you can't see it. For those of you... Yeah. For those of you who don't know, exclamation point TTS is a way that you can send your chat message out loud, and it's very useful for times like this where I'm focusing on like, oh, we're reacting to this funny Twitch clip, and I don't actually share the screen. So let's take a look at this.
Show you what this is doing. It's,
We have
it's
more
easier to
tangents in this
visualize
stream
it
than
in
the
our
boss
editor
graph in
here.
my calculus homework.
But you timed that so perfectly. Oh my goodness, I literally started to go but then you beat me to it. This right here is why I wanted channel point rewards. Mwah, that is
Epic
perfect.
clip, it looks
Okay.
like your screen froze bot.
Show you what this.
Yeah, it looks like my screen froze, but it is just me freezing. And Inception, I mean, yes, I am looking at a clip of my own stream. Okay, and let's pull up the Stickman test video to see what 404 has been working on. I trusted you. I trusted you.
Rickrolled.
Okay. Okay.
We broke dimmer again.
That was incredibly good. Credit where credit is due. That was perfect. Yeah, you did not need 25k channel points to do it. Though, if you use 25k channel points, I don't stop it. I let it run for the entire runtime of the song. Whereas here, I was wondering, because in the Godot scene, I was like, wow, there's really not much here. There are like barely any nodes. I was like wondering, like, whoa, you made this like really quickly and like very easily. Like, this is really cool that Godot can do this. And then, whoopsie doopsie. It turns out that that was just a Rickroll, but truly iconic. The credit where credit is due. That was very good. That being said, we are now going to move on to our quick bio break. I always like to take a 5-minute break halfway through the stream, give people time to stand up, get water, take care of themselves, because I know that a lot of people attend all of the MLH streams back to back to back. So, yeah, go clip that. We'll have another iconic moment in the list of iconic moments on stream. And we'll be back in 5 minutes.
Stew. Use this in the front. Like this. Indians are everywhere. Oh, now I got it. Any Punjabi pra here? Or Bain? We
Hello,
have got
hello, y'all.
ourselves a TTS attack.
Welcome back. Let me look back through chat.
TTS attack. Hopefully we all recovered.
Hopefully. I need to read through to understand the context of this. This morning, I walked out to my car to grab something, and I noticed that I had a flat tire. So I'm trying to talk to my roommates about what resources I have to help fix that. People teaching how to use TTS. A lot of Indian solidarity. Okay. Very cool. I love when people do community building in my chat. It makes me very happy.
Oh, be safe. You do have someone nearby
Oh.
to help you, right?
Yeah, I'm at my house and I'm gonna borrow my roommate's car to go to the car parts store and get a patching kit, and it'll be fine. It didn't like blow out on the side of the road. I think I just like drove over a nail or something. It'll be really fine. But it was not something that I was expecting to deal with today. Okay. Where were we? We were getting rickrolled. That's one thing we were doing. Another developer drinking water instead of coffee. High five. High five. So I react poorly to caffeine, but I do have an energy drink behind my computer right now. It's not open, but I was thinking I might need it this morning. Water is better. Water is quite good. I don't know if it's better or not, but it is very good. First time watching a game development stream and feel it's not for me. So I want to say, A, that's very valid. Like, game development doesn't need to be for everyone, just like not everyone wants to be a back-end developer or a front-end developer or an app developer. And also, I think game development can be very chill in a way that, like, a lot of people make it a very complicated thing. Not to say that it isn't like there's inherently a learning curve to it, but a lot of people make it really intense where you can just like kind of have fun with it. Caffeine makes my heart rate go from 90 to 110. My resting heart rate is super high. LOL. I mean, whoa, okay. My heart rate's actually quite low right now. But usually, yeah, I'm on some of them antidepressants, and usually those make my heart rate go up higher. Coffee is a type of tea. Playing GTA is 100, or is that a million?
Bean tea.
No, that's 100,000 times easier than creating it. I mean, yes, totally. So if y'all are talking about if coffee is a type of tea or a type of tea, I will now ask you, is the ocean a soup? I would argue it is. It is meat and vegetables and broth, and it's salty. If coffee is tea, then ocean is a soup. That is, if you agree with that, then I will agree that coffee is a type of tea. With that, I always feel a little deranged when I just say something like that. And then I'm just like, okay, next thing.
Layward.
How to create the showing emojis effect on screen. Yeah, so oh goodness. I don't know what it is, but it is only when I am streaming that I need to like turn my mouse on and off like 17 million times. Okay. So there are two things happening here. One, this is a live stream being done through OBS, Open Broadcast Software. It's another open source piece of software. Hey, Open Source Week. So this is where all of the live streaming stuff is happening. And that is happening right here on the stream elements layer that I have. So that is on all the different layers, and that is what shows chat right here. And if one of you wanted to follow right now, if you haven't followed, if you were to follow, it would be very nice, because then I would get to show
Ocean
up,
is a soup.
show off another thing that stream elements is doing here. If and when someone follows, I can show you. But in essence, that is what is doing the majority of Twitch-based interactivity on stream. So Shem Marie just followed. So you can see there's an explosion of emoji on screen, and we have that alert up in the upper right-hand corner. All of that is done through Stream Elements. So the TTS is something that I made custom on stream, actually.
I would unfollow, but I've been following since a long time and don't want to.
I mean, yeah, Shem Marie unfollowed, then refollowed for effect. I was wondering, when you followed there, I was like, whoa, Shem Marie hadn't followed before? Hey. I don't know, I think Tonine is now following. And also I saw Manon, I don't know if it's Manon or Manon. I'm gonna go with Tonine. Okay, Tonine? Goodness, I always feel like I don't have pronunciation guides for all of the people's different usernames. I'm gonna say Manon Codes also followed, but didn't apparently have the thing show up. Anyway, all of this is through Stream Elements, which is a tool that allows you to work with Twitch and OBS to combine those two things together to add more interactivity. So in this case, it's adding chat, it's adding alerts, and one of the things that I have enabled is for emojis and emotes that are typed in chat to then bounce around on screen. So if I were to, hey, there's one. If I were to send a lot of goose emotes, we would see some goose emotes on screen. Yeah. So it's just like a small thing. In screen share, those show up, but the explosions of emotes doesn't. And then the custom emotes are done through 7TV. So if you don't see them, like, it's Shark Tap in Camel Case. Hey, Salazar? So I'm gonna go with Salazar as the pronunciation of that. Feel free to correct me in chat. All of these custom emotes, it's Blahaj Go Spin, are through the 7TV emote. That was embarrassing. I mean, I just don't know why you don't have the 7TV emote installed. Like, because then you could just click the button and you wouldn't even need to type it. Anyway, if you install that extension, it's a Chrome extension, it's a Firefox extension, it's basically in everything, then you can get the custom emotes as well.
Emoji spam.
I mean, I think it's worthwhile right now. What's the name? It's 7TV. I can actually show. Let's talk about it. So if I screen share and bring this in. It's a Chrome extension that gives you extra emotes. It also works, there's a Firefox extension and a whole bunch of things. Yeah. Oh, there's my live stream plan. How many monitors do I have? I only have 2 for this. So my laptop, so this is, I have in front of me my laptop, and what you see right here, this is my laptop screen. And then to the right, I have just like a 24-inch 1080p monitor, nothing fancy, that I use for chat and my notes and things like that. Okay. We have some new people here, so I'm going to drop the link to the tutorial that we are following in chat and talk about what we are doing here. So we are building a game in Godot. Godot being an open source game engine that is super lightweight. You don't even need to install it. It's super easy to run, can be exported to iOS, Android, web, desktop, consoles, all the different places. So it's a very powerful tool. And this is part 2. This is the second stream we're doing on this. We're making a platformer game, but because we're live and answering questions and talking and all of that, we aren't the fastest at going through this. So I always make sure to be following a existing tutorial for the lecture portion, and then we build it separately, and we like go back and forth between the tutorial for lecture and answering questions. So, because we aren't going to finish the tutorial, I've dropped that link in chat, and it will be in the description of the YouTube recording of this stream, so you can finish up the tutorial and create the game. I believe Unreal Engine is the best one. So, best game engine, yeah, 404 answered this, but it depends on what you want to use it for, and it also depends on how much experience you have. So Unreal Engine is incredible if you are creating a hyper-realistic 3D game, because I believe it's Nanite or Ninite, one of the two. They have this technology that does really great level of detail with tons of polygons and all of these things, and it's really, really good for hyper-realistic 3D games. And also, doing that and implementing all of that takes a lot of work still. So it is great for like huge teams, and also it can be used for indie developers. There are a lot of indie developers who do use it, but it is designed for 3D games, and it is designed for a specific workflow, or at least this is my interpretation of it. And I think that like using an engine like Godot, Nanite and Lumen, I think, thank you. Using an engine like Godot, which is smaller in scope, it is easier to run, and it has both 2D and 3D workflows, is a better place to start as an indie developer, because it's more versatile in the way it works. Now, if Unity was not closed source proprietary and having a history of messing with and screwing over their game developers, I would highly recommend Unity, because it's like an industry standard that does 2D and 3D and all of the things. But honestly, Godot does majority of what Unity does. Open source, free forever, super easy to run, all of the things. So it's not the best 3D engine. It is an incredible 2D engine. It's not the best 3D engine, but it is very usable and very functional. Is Godot good for VR? Let me Google and see. As you might be able to tell by my facial expressions, Godot can make VR games and projects. But if you specifically want to do VR, let's search best VR game engine.
Don't know about VR, but you can make PRs to Godot with open source.
Yeah, I would probably use... Yeah, if you want to... Yeah, if you specifically want to use... If you specifically want to make VR games, I would not recommend Godot. Because while it does have that support, it is not as fully featured. You have the options of Unity and Unreal Engine like we talked about, and based on all the things that have happened with Unity, just kind of out of spite, I would recommend Unreal Engine, especially with all of the tools that Unreal Engine has for getting high fidelity out of your 3D assets, which is an important thing in VR. So I would recommend Unreal Engine for that, but Unity can do it very functionally and very well. But again, Unity just kind of did a whole bunch to mess with their developers. They rolled it back. It's still fine, but they showed that they didn't have that much care. Dimmer, have you done some VR stuff before? I have not. So I have done the bare basics of AR development. I had a series of hackathon projects using iOS ARKit to display 3D models in space at the beginning of COVID, to do like virtual museums and things like that. But I haven't really done much VR development. And then I have messed around a little bit in VR, but not much. Let's take a look at that. Ooh, okay, so this is a very specific hackathon that is looking for you to use Google's AR Core and Google Maps, which when I was doing these original projects, I was between AR Core and AR Kit, which are the two. AR Core is Google and AR Kit is Apple, but I didn't have a recent enough Android device to be able to run AR Core. But yeah, that's definitely cool. So yeah, those are specifically for VR. I wouldn't necessarily recommend Godot, but also VR development can be pretty intense. Not saying that you shouldn't do it, because it can be extremely cool, but it is a little bit jumping into the deep end. Any other questions? You can make PRs to Godot with open source. Yes, you can. But also, I would not, if you are looking to get into VR development, I would not start with building out VR capabilities or expanding VR capabilities in Godot. I would start with an existing engine. In this case, I would personally choose Unreal. With those tangents out of the way, exactly. With those tangents out of the way, which I always encourage tangents, because I do think that is the, like, again, y'all are coming here live. If you just wanted to watch a tutorial, you would watch a tutorial. So I always make time for all of the tangents, all of the questions. Back to your regularly scheduled Blahaj stream. I do always have Blahaj over to my left on my bed. Always just hanging out with us. Okay. Let's turn the music down. Seriously, these tangents give the stream personality and fun. I'm so glad. Yeah, I really think they're the point of live streaming. With that, let's get back to our tutorial. We were at like 47. I know I'm getting ahead of the scope of this stream, but what would a good GitHub action workflow look like for a Godot 4 project? I have absolutely no idea. Sorry. I actually haven't ever used GitHub Actions before. I have worked on projects that have used them, but I've never been the one who set them up. And also, I don't know what you would need it for, because to my knowledge, Godot Actions are for automatic bug testing and deployment. But with Godot, you don't need a... Oh, it's CI something. CI/CD. Continuous integration and continuous delivery or deployment. You really don't need those when you're working in Godot, to my understanding, because the way that you're deploying is like, you aren't continuously deploying, because you basically like build your game to a release and then you release it, and then you build your game to an update or another release and then release it. And your testing is like, you aren't doing a whole lot of testing in the traditional like computer science programming way of testing, rather in the way of like game testing, of basically just playing it and seeing how it works. I might also be oversimplifying things, and someone in chat might have more experience with this, and they might be saying, "Oh, but this is a really cool tool that you can use." But to my knowledge, that's not really something that you need. Yeah, sometimes things become complicated. It's fine. I mean, yeah, that. Computer science in a nutshell. Okay, so we have collisions between our player and the ground. Let's see what's next.
It lives on one, and it looks collision layer and collision map left and right. To make them move, we can use the spacebar to jump. So look at that, just right out of the box, Godot, we've got a tile map with a player, and our player can move. And let's take a quick moment to illustrate collision layer, and collision mask. So our player here, if we click collision, you'll see that they're on layer 1 and their mask is on layer 1. Let's put them on layer 2 and click off layer 1 and run our scene. Now the player no longer collides with the level because our tile map collision is only on 1. It lives on 1 and it looks towards 1. If we set the collision mask to 2, it looks to collide with objects on mask 2, on layer 2, or sorry, yeah, on 2, but it lives on layer 1. If we make our player live on 2 and look toward 1, now they'll collide because the layer and the mask are aligned. Again, don't worry about this too much if you don't understand it. It's a more intermediate topic and something that I'm not sure if this tutorial will cover more, but you can get pretty far with just leaving it all on 1-1. And as your needs for...
Yeah, so I just wanted to run tests to see if it works fine, but I never knew how to. So when you're in Godot, you basically stay in Godot for everything. It includes your editor, your file management down here, all of the things. Godot is very like one and done. You have this play button here, which starts your game from scratch. And then you have this button right here, which runs the current scene that you're editing. And then also a lot of people, if you're getting really intense into game development, you can build your own tooling into the engine that will allow you to do testing. So let me see if I can find an example of this.
Pixel art game
I'm looking for,
with
Those-
video games. Sometimes we
for those of you who don't know, Artificial is a YouTube channel that does incredible game development work. I believe he uses Unity as his main engine, but he also does a lot of stuff on his own with his own renderer. There's a video though that he made. Okay, I think this video, it's 4 minutes, and I want to watch this because I think it shows off the way that he created custom tooling to be able to edit his game. And then I'm going to go through and answer some questions that just came up. So this is just demoing what he has made so far. Yeah, incredible artist, incredible developer.
Hi everyone, welcome back. It's been a while, but the dialogue system is finally ready. So let's take a look at how the cutscene that you've just seen works. A cutscene consists of multiple timelines tied together by an animator controller. Here you can see how the state machine for the specific cutscene looks like. Usually we use animator to control animations, but it's not the case here. The sole purpose of the state machine is to evaluate how the cutscene should look like, based on the player's choices. It's done using these state machine behaviors called cutscene segments. They notify the cutscene component about what timeline should be played next. This example is extremely simple. We start with this awakening state, at the end of which the player is presented with a choice. They can either take the architect's offer, or they can question his intentions. This is what these transitions represent. If the choice is equal to 0, we go to the agreement state. If it's 1, we end up in the trust state. Now, if we go back to our scene, you can see that alongside the animator, there's also this cutscene component that I mentioned. Here, we define which director corresponds to a given state. For example, this is the director that's going to be played during the awakening state. There's no additional scripting going on here. It's just a director with a timeline assigned to it. When it comes to timelines themselves, aside from the default tracks provided by Unity, I've also got some custom ones. This one, for example, controls what Alice is saying. Each clip here defines her lines and some additional settings, like the direction in which her speech bubble is facing, or is offset. Length of a clip determines how fast its text will appear on the screen, which is a very nice thing to play around with. If a character is saying something that they are not sure about, or something that's really dramatic, for example, we can make the text appear slower to emphasize that. We also have this choice track, which is responsible for presenting our player with some choice. Clips on this track contain an array of options that the player can choose from. The index of the chosen option is then passed to the animator controller so that it can decide what to do next. Another thing worth noting is the skip marker. It makes it possible to skip certain parts of the cutscene. There's no UI for it yet, but I'll demonstrate it with my debugger. Currently, the cutscene is playing as usual, but when I click skip, the timeline will fast forward until it encounters a marker.
So this is showing the tooling that he created to allow him to easily skip between different things.
Alright, so I have the gameplay figured out.
That was... he barely talked about it. I know there's a video in his devlogs where he talks about it more. Either way, he created his own tooling to skip through different parts of his game to test things more efficiently. That was what I was trying to get to. Let me look at the things that people have been saying in chat. Okay, so that is running tests to see if it worked fine. Yeah, basically, you don't need to go outside of your game engine, and if you're building a really complicated game, you can create your own tooling to help you playtest at different points more quickly and more easily. I worked a lot with Unity back in the day. I did not, so I don't remember that. So I just wanted to ask you something. What inspired to become a game developer? So I'm not a game developer. I just like messing around with it. But the thing that inspired me was extra credits. And for those of you all who have been to my streams before, you've heard me talk about this. Extra Credits is a YouTube series specifically around game design. And I watched that so frequently and just like consumed all of this. And that was what really got me into game development, because I don't necessarily play games very frequently.
Good job.
Thank you. But I really loved learning about all the game design. So if you're looking for that, you can search for Extra Credits, and they have a new YouTube channel where they're posting new videos. It's called Extra Credits, but all of their old videos are on Extra History. So I was around back when it started as Extra Credits, and I was around when they launched all these other series that they were doing. But on the Extra History channel, there's a playlist of all their Extra Credits videos, which include some really good just like introductions to game development, things like that. Not on like a technical level, but on like a here are the different parts of game development, and here's, if you're interested in it, where you can start and things like that. Man, that art looks so cool. Reminds me of Rain World. I do not know what Rain World is. Oh, yes, I do know what Rain World is. So I've not played it, but I've seen plenty of the art and fan art around it. Yeah, it is such a beautiful game. What is this type of design called? I would just call it pixel art. Tried making it using ChatGPT, it didn't work, haha. So, Manon Codes, you were not here for our long conversations that we consistently have around ChatGPT, but to make it short, I and most people in chat when we've had this conversation agree that ChatGPT is not good for actually generating anything. You might be able to use it as a starting point when Google is not giving you what you're looking for in a search engine context, but actually generating it, It's still, well, I say still, but actually, I don't believe that it will ever be good enough to do that sort of generation ever. Do y'all know about Rain World? It's such an amazing project. Basically, you play as a creature in a very, very complex ecosystem. Literally, the AI is so complicated. All the elements are learning and working with each other all the time. When you hit a certain creature too many times, the species starts to evolve to grow hostile to you. On the other hand, if you give it food, it grows to become helpful to you. There are like tribes and hierarchy, and it's so complex. It was amazing to see. That is incredibly cool. I did not know that. I just thought it was a platformer. I envisioned it very similar to Ori and the Ori series of games. Yes, I'll be trying this for my own project. Making my own tooling seems really interesting. And I've watched a lot of stuff on game design, never came across this. Let me actually, I've shown this before. So yeah, that was Artificial, which I dropped the link earlier. And then extra credits.
Are you looking to learn more?
Here we go. Great. Oh. Time to turn my mouse on and back off again.
Dimmer
There we
needs
go.
to start a new Twitch channel. I'll join every stream, even in the middle of an exam.
People have talked about that before, and I have thought about that before. It is, live streaming is just really intense in terms of like it's performing for a long period of time, and I've thought about it, and it has
Terms
been a
and
thing
conditions applied.
that I've thought about, and I will definitely, if I do that, I will definitely let y'all know. But this is extra credits. This is their new channel, and you can see some like great, wonderful videos on like things I learned on my first game as like a great thing, and also some like really cool breakdowns of like, ooh, here they're talking about unreliable narrators and the hidden price of changing a game, city builders breaking the mold. It's just like a ton of interesting videos analyzing existing games. And then there's also, if you search for extra history, this is the channel that was originally extra credits. And if you go into their playlists and you scroll way down, you can say, hey, here are their original extra credits. And extra credits game design, this playlist, wait, that's 84 things wrong, which I think that playlist is very good, but there's a shorter playlist. Extra credits making your first game. This is what I would recommend, and I'm going to drop this.
Check out https://www.youtube.com/official_arch.
I thought TTS wasn't supposed to read links anymore. We spent so long building that, and apparently it just doesn't work. Okay. Here's that playlist. This playlist is a incredible, these like things right here, going basics, practical rules, minimum viable product, launching, just very good. Wait, wasn't TTS supposed to say link? It was. It is. I don't know what happens. This is a thing that we spent like 3 streams working on.
www.donatradthis.com.
I'm gonna cry. I'm going to cry. We spent so long trying to build that, and I don't know why it's not working. And we built that. That was like 5 or 6 months ago. Check out Official Arch. Oh! Is Arch seriously? Oh my goodness, Arch is so much smaller than I thought it was. Yeah, definitely I recommend Arch as well. I have watched the snipers, shotguns, and how good games go bad videos, which were incredibly informative.
It's like 6 vids each amazing.
It truly is. Okay, wait, I feel like I'm missing something here. TTS wasn't supposed to be sailing. Thank you for a great session. Wait. I'm not ending. We have like 12 more minutes. We're not ending right now. So, okay. We have 12 more minutes on this stream, and then I'm streaming again tomorrow. We are no longer continuing Godot. This was the last Godot stream. Hence why I like to follow the tutorial, because I've introduced y'all to Godot. I've gotten y'all excited about Godot, but we didn't actually make much in Godot. So again, that video tutorial that we were following, I think is a great place to start. I have a couple more resources for y'all that I'm going to share before we end stream. Tomorrow, we are doing a stream at, let me check the time for y'all. Good to know 404. I'm waiting in anticipation about what is about to happen.
What does TTS mean?
Text to
Never
speech.
gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you, never gonna make you cry, never gonna say goodbye, never gonna tell a lie and hurt you.
See, that's why I have the ability to turn that off. TTS stands for text to speech, and yes, it does work. Tomorrow I am streaming. Oh, again at 10 a.m. Eastern time. And we're doing open source versus Creative Commons, understanding assets and tools. So the assets that we are using in this game development that we are doing are licensed under Creative Commons 0 or CC 0, which is very similar to open source in the way that it works, but it is not open source. And there are a bunch of different Creative Commons licenses, and there are a bunch of different open source licenses. And we're going to be going over those, and we're going to be talking about different places to find resources and tools and answering questions and all of that. So that's tomorrow at 10. That is going to be on MLH Red, the MLH Red Twitch channel, which will, because it is on MLH Red, all of this tooling that I've set up here only works on the MLH Twitch channel, the main channel. So because I'm going to be on MLH Red, my stream is going to look almost exactly like everyone else. So the audio is still going to be like the nice crispy audio, all that stuff that I've set up, and the video is still going to be on this camera, but all of the chat, all of the text to speech, all of that is not going to be there. So yes, 10 Eastern Standard Time, or I'm just going to say Eastern Time because I don't know if we're in daylight time or standard time. So just 10 ET. You can Google that and do a time zone transition. It's the same time that I started today. And then, so that's going to be on MLH Red, along with all of the streams. All of the streams that are happening on the 21st and the 22nd are going to be on MLH Red. The Twitch channel MLH Red. And the links in the Discord will reflect that.
As long as you are there, dimmer. We won't care about a crappy 360p cam or a crackly mic.
I mean, thank you. I will care though, so it won't be either of those things. It will just be no TTS and that sort of thing. No channel point rewards. ADT still, I dislike DT, soon back to ET. So, this is a thing that I learned doing MLH because I always was confusing because I'm in the Eastern time zone. If you just use
Having
ET,
a nice time.
Eastern time is untethered from whether or not we are on daylight savings time or standard time. And if you Google for that or do any time zone conversions, it'll always be correct. So I just use Eastern time ET when I'm talking about this. Oh yeah, so streams on the 21st and 22nd are going to be on MLH Red. And then on the 22nd at 1:00 p.m. Eastern time, on Discord, I'm going to be running a Telestrations mini event. And let me double check that I remember what this is. This was a thing that I was asked to do again. Great. Yes. Okay. This is what I think it is. Telestrations is an old event that Emily used to do really consistently, and I had some iconic streams about that in 2021, and people were asking for it back. So Telestrations is a game where you're given a prompt to draw something, you draw it, and then the next person looks at that drawing and tries to guess what the prompt was, and then someone else draws based on that prompt, and it goes, and you create truly insane drawings, and it is very fun. And that is going to be, again, on the 22nd at 1 p.m. on Discord. So Gartic phone?
That's Gartic phone, right?
Yes. Entirely yes. Gartic phone is the online version, Telestrations is the board game. Yes, thank you. I always know it as Telestrations because that's what we called it back in 2021. That's fun. Yeah, I'm really excited for that. MLH Red, yes, is the alt MLH channel. So you'll see that again if you're in the Discord. If you aren't, discord.mlh.io is what you're looking for there to join the Discord. That's where you'll get announcements for all of the streams and hackathons and be able to meet people. If you are there tomorrow, you'll see the announcements are going to be directing you to the MLH Red channel. Just because we have a hackathon that's going to be streaming on the main Twitch channel. Bum. Automud trying to trip you up. Yeah, but I got you out of Automod jail. Already in. Is it already in the description? I don't know. I just learned about this today. So if it's already out there and people already know about it, that's good. Oh, you might be referring to the Discord, which yes, should be. Is it in the Discord? Either way, all of that information. With that, does anyone have any other questions? We have 5 more minutes. What's the orange cat behind me? Oh, this orange cat right here. Let me grab that. So, as y'all know, I really like lo-fi. This lo-fi music that's happening, all of that. And if we... Oh goodness, this is very loud. This is very loud lo-fi. Let's turn this down. There we go. You might see a commonality here. Yes, it is the lo-fi girl cat. Lo-fi is a type of music. It stands for low fidelity. In essence, it came from this like idea of music that wasn't super like highly produced and things like that. There's this whole history to it. This is technically lo-fi hip hop. But now it's just shortened to lo-fi. Yeah, so this is official Lo-Fi Girl merch. When they came out with this, I just had to get it because I spent so many hours listening to this YouTube channel when I was like a student and all of that, and I still do. So it's nice to just have the Lo-Fi Girl cat with me at all times. So yeah, this lives in my background. I used to make lo-fi beats. Hey, that's pretty cool, Skitty. Okay, let me put this back.
Lo-fi girl cat giveaway.
Yeah, so just some fun little Easter eggs in my stream background. Let's go back to the lo-fi that I know won't get the stream taken down. anything else? Any other questions? I'm going to drop the link to that tutorial one more time. And again, it is going to be in the description of the YouTube channel recording. This was the tutorial that we were following.
Lo-fi girl cat giveaway.
I mean, I'm not giving away that cat. And they cost like $40. They're quite expensive, but I thought it was worth it. 404 if I drop in the next 2 minutes. It's not on my own volition. Thank you, 404. Good to know. Merch is always worth it. Yeah, I thought it was worth it. I did at one point, this is funny, I wasn't as y'all, some of you know, I wasn't streaming for like a period of like 4 months. And I believe it was during those 4 months that I actually did give away
I got a Blahedge
lo-fi
for
cat.
like $12 in India.
Because the one that I originally got had some manufacturing defects. So they sent me another one. So I just went on the Lo-Fi Girl subreddit and I gave one away. I got a Blahedge for like $12 in India. Hey, everyone should own a Blahedge. Okay. Well, with that, I think we have reached the end of our stream today. Thank you all so much for coming. I've really enjoyed this. This has been a great stream, and make sure to stop on by tomorrow for another stream where we're going to be talking about, again, the difference between Creative Commons licenses and different open source licenses, and all the different ways that you can build upon other people's work and allow your work to be built upon by others. We did get another iconic moment here today. This was truly a great stream. So yeah, thank you all so much for coming. And wait, let's see what's coming up next after this. Right after this, oh yeah, is Today in Global Hack Week, which is a great stream to go to just get an update on everything that's going to be happening today for the future streams. I'm going to...
Good job.
Thank you. Yeah, okay. I believe that is the end of my stream. So I'm gonna sign off so you can attend Today in Global Hack Week, which is happening right now. Stick around, and I'll see you all tomorrow.
Vinayak
Happy
has
hacking,
been
y'all.
typing in the
Bye.
Discord for so long, drafting the announcement.
That's a big
Bye.
mood. Bye, y'all. Thanks for coming. Glad you enjoyed.